Recording. Sweet. Hello everyone and welcome to this session of Imbibe Live Online, part of Global Bar Week. I'm Millie Milliken, Deputy Editor at Imbibe UK, and I'm joined here today by Lynnette Marrero and Ivy Mix, co-founders of SpeedRack. Over the next half an hour or so, we're going to be talking about the new initiatives these guys have in store to celebrate and support women in bartending in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. Hi guys, how are you doing?
Hi.
All good?
Yeah. Well,
You know,
fun.
doing what we can. I think that's kind of everyone's mode at this point. I think it's interesting when people ask how you're doing because everything is very relative at this point. I think well, we're doing what we are doing right now. So I think that's okay. We're figuring out things. It's been a long time. Been too long since we've seen our SpeedRack family, so that kind of resonates. I think more so now at this time of year. Because we would be really winding up for something. So there's a part of that, that back to school feeling is sadly not there for us right now. So, we're figuring out how that feels, sitting with it, and then figuring out what we're going to do about it.
Yeah. And you guys are in different parts of New York at the moment. You're a bit further up north, I think, Lynette. And Ivy, are you in the city at the moment?
Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn right now trying to figure out what's going on with the bar and, trying to keep that other portion of my life afloat. This is actually the longest Lynette and I think have ever gone without seeing one another.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I'm like you, because it's funny. Someone was saying that the other day. I was like, you realize, it's like because we've been limited by movement, it's insane that what you're like the small little circle that the pandemic has forced you to be in. Yeah. So the people that I've seen, and it's been the same people, obviously for safety reasons, but it's also been really like it's very strange. I actually unfortunately missed a group of friends who were upstate last weekend apple picking, and then passed through town and went to the bar that I'm running up here. And I was like, no, I missed you by like 10 minutes. I was driving. I missed Cooper and Leo. I was so bummed. I was like, no. I was like, I would have loved to have seen your masked faces. That would have been fine.
Bizarre, isn't it? So obviously you guys aren't together at the moment, but in a normal world, what would you guys sort of be embarking on at the moment going into October? I know, Lynette, we've spoken about this before, so maybe Ivy, if you could maybe just run through sort of the plans of what SpeedRack would be doing at this moment in time when COVID didn't exist.
Yeah. So, this is the first day of fall. So going back to what Lynette said, we do follow kind of the school year system, oddly enough, but now SpeedRack has turned into summer school and like holiday schools. Like it's really like a 24/7 type of thing. But in the past, when we first started 10 years ago, it was like, all right, kind of kick off during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is in October, launch during November, go all the way through to May, and then have a summer vacation, right? It was kind of always the idea. We call them seasons rather than years.
Yeah.
And tours, almost like I'm wearing a Canada SpeedRack tee right now, but on our US tour ones, we usually have it looks like a concert, and then we went to Washington, DC, and then we went to Chicago. Yeah. But now, normally within the last few years, we would be prepping right now to be going to Asia and to Australia. So we last year did SpeedRack in Melbourne. The year before that, we did Sydney, and Melbourne was just it was really successful. We had a fantastic venue. We had a bunch of people from Sydney come down. It was really excellent. Amazing. And then before that, we were in Hong Kong doing SpeedRack Asia. So we would be probably all of our energy focused there, although the people who we have helping out over there, Holly Graham and Vivian Pei, are they're superstars. So they would be doing a lot of the work, and we'd be having really awkward, late for us, early for them, or vice versa, Zoom calls to figure out what was happening. And then we'd be getting ready to launch into Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which for us is, SpeedRec has two pillars, right? We're breast cancer awareness and raising money to fight breast cancer, and we're also about supporting women within our community. Yeah. And it's really important to us to raise money. So we do a lot of kind of side work with our charities. So like, going and working a gala and creating cocktails at the gala, like getting a liquor sponsor to help at the gala, to make cocktails at the gala, auctioning off gift certificates for our establishments, or, stuff like this, kind of like doing the breast cancer circuit. Yeah. And then working with, really looking into November when we start our US tour, which we are global, but the US is certainly where we're from. It's where we've like put the most energy. We have a whole tour here. So it takes up a lot of work. I'm gonna be ready to launch into our official 10th season. We're kind of in this weird purgatory of season 9. We're like looking at 10 years and we can't get there because we're stuck with COVID, but that's what we'd be doing. And, looking forward to it, looking forward to seeing all of our friends and looking into expanding. We were like gonna go to Argentina. We were gonna go to UK again. So, yeah, now we're just doing this, Zoom.
How's your community coping at the moment? Obviously, when you're traveling, you get to see all these people that you work with year in, year out. How are you connecting with them at the moment? And do you have a gauge of how all your different communities across the world are doing at the moment?
Some of the women we've seen have, we had a nice catch up actually, what was it? I guess now 2 months ago, we had a happy hour and we all just hopped on and kind of talked. And it was just about the beginning of when people were going back to work in some places. Yeah. Some of the women were working and have been actually promoted and are doing more manager jobs. So like I said, Haley Traub got promoted to be the general manager of Attaboy during all of this. And, as Mickey and Sammy really need to go focus on their other projects and, leaving her at the helm to keep it going. And a few other women, I've seen some of our competitors going back to school, which I think is really awesome, and taking classes and pursuing some adventures. A lot of entrepreneurial things going on. One of the competitors in Texas, she actually started building this really cool business where she was making cocktail kits and worked with a local liquor store, and they let her sell her cocktail kits just outside and set up a table. So people would go into the liquor store, they'd come out, and she would have these really cool mixers for them, which was really awesome. So just seeing a lot of innovation, a lot of, been super proud to see a ton of the women who have come through our world are teaching classes and have been a part of, the Portland Cocktail Weeks and all these things. So it's just really inspiring to see how much, and it's not a surprise, because if they're going to enter SpeedRec, they've got a lot of get up and get them. Yeah. Anyway, so just seeing, how a lot of them blossoming, like I've said, Alex Jump and Lauren Paler, 2 former competitors, have joined together to start FOH Health, which is really, they're working on starting a nonprofit that's tackling a lot of issues within the bar. And I really enjoy the way that they have put together their programming. It has a lot of different buckets and facets that, you're looking at all these different ways, and, they're focusing on mental health, physical health, financial health, like all this great stuff. So I've been really impressed by what they've been managed to do in a short period of time. But, and you'll see them sprinkled all over. I think it's been, I think we have like some WhatsApp groups. So there's often like check-ins with each other, which is really nice to see. So like, there's like our Southeast, that was like New Orleans, Texas, kind of the southern half of the United States. And that was the last SpeedRec we did. And that group checks in on each other quite a bit, offering like, hey, if anyone knows anyone in their community doesn't have enough food, this bar is giving out meals, or, hey, I'm just saying, like, I see you, I miss you, or like someone's doing this thing today. And it's like this cheerleading squad of like, yay. And I think that sort of emotional support, and that's really the biggest part of what we noticed came out of SpeedRec, was always that camaraderie and that, like, this extra special thing that they've all been through that has created a support network.
And how are things in the city, Ivy? How are you seeing people reacting in the city at the moment? I think New York, at the time of this record, have just had some big announcements made in terms of how restaurants can operate, restaurants and bars? How are people reacting in the city at the moment?
So starting October 1st, or I guess September 30th, we're allowed to start eating indoors at a 25% capacity. You know, the reaction is mixed for sure. I know there are people who are touting this as like a big victory. It's yet to be seen if 25% is like, not that many people are like making money right now. Most people are just kind of breaking even. So once we're able to do outdoor seating now, we're using these like parquettes and parking spots, and some people have backyards, or some people have rooftops, and they're able to make that work. But once we move inside and it gets cold, I'm not sure if the 25% is going to be I'm dubious at best. And I think that that's the general consensus across the city. Operators are kind of worried. I mean, it's good news, I think, mostly, but now we also have to deal with, like, you know, having really honest conversations with our staff. I just had a big staff meeting yesterday being like, just let you all know, we're doing it. Like, we're going to do the 25%, but slowly going into it. So, you know, but mostly I gotta say the atmosphere and the energy in New York is good. You know, at this given time, our percentages are really low. And I think that, you know, obviously that's a good thing. People follow the rules mostly with the masks. You get that one jerk, you're like, have you been living under a rock or what? Like, they put your mask on. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, for the most part, I think people are happy that summer is over. This is the most beautiful time of the year in New York, period. I mean, it is a little chilly, unusually chilly. I like the cold, but this is the best time of year in New York, and I think people are happy. But there's all sorts of stuff, like schools aren't back like normal. That puts a lot of pressure on people. I've been looking all over the world, like, how are they doing it over there? Yeah. But we'll see what happens, you know. If we have to lock back down again, then we're all going to lock back down again. And everyone knows how bad it was the first time. And, you know, we got to do what we got to do. But I think at this given point in time, morale is pretty good.
Just to highlight some, like, crazy disparities, like the two restaurants that I work with have they're like the perfect example of how this new rule is exemplary. So
Exactly.
Mama, which is our smaller restaurant in the West Village, that has had 16 seats outdoor because we have a much smaller patio.
Yeah.
When we go indoor, we will have 18 seats. But for like 3 weeks, we're going to have both of those operating. So we've had to, we've gone from a model where, like, oh, shoot, we need, like, to add more staff members for a certain amount of time. Whereas Llama Inn in Williamsburg, we have so much outdoor space that actually during the outdoor time, we only lost about 10 or 12 seats of our total capacity because it was just almost really just the bar seat area. But when we go indoors, we're going to be at 50% less capacity than we currently are outdoors. So, like, it's kind of a mind-boggling scenario for us. We're like trying to figure out, one, again, like Ivy said, the hard conversations with staff, and some of our staff members are not comfortable going indoors. So they're actually going to be able to help us currently because we have a rooftop bar and work outdoors up there to help us get through, like, the weird crunch. And then, you know, then they've decided that they do not want to carry on after we go indoors. So hopefully that'll help with the, like, you know, hiring scenario and, like, how to, like, support your staff. But it's a crazy mind shift.
I hired 2 people during COVID, and the hiring process with the mask on is, I hired this guy named Nick from New Orleans, and, like, he'd worked 4 shifts, and I was like, Nick, I know I shouldn't do this, but can you just, like, pull on me? Like, what do you look like? You know, like, who are you under there?
Hospitality,
I've decided we conduct interviews outside distanced, so that way they can, like, that's what Jessica and I have been doing. It's like, hey, we're gonna sit, like, over here and you over there, so you take your mask off and you just see your face.
Yeah, probably.
Because to your point, it's really weird. You're like trying to, like, you know, and it creates this, you know, I think we've all adjusted, you know, like, I definitely have been using, like, I feel like it's like the Gloria Swanson silent film days now. We're all, like, using our eyes to talk. It's really weird. And you realize how much, as part of bartenders in the hospitality, that we were reading lips for a really long time. And so you're trying to hear your guests in service. You're like, oh, I have to really pay attention and listen, because I was watching their lips half the time and knowing what they needed. So it's an interesting time.
Yeah. Well, sort of reopening restaurants and bars aside, I know you guys, obviously, with your Speed Rack hats on, have had a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and you've got some sort of new initiatives and things that you've been working on for your community. So if you could just run through, you know, what you guys have got in store for the rest of the year and the beginning of 2021, it would be great to hear what you guys have in store.
I think 2021, we haven't quite really thought yet.
Yeah, I know. It's like a day by day. We're like,
when does that start?
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose our mentorship program will go into that. I mean, as we were saying, we're trying to discover and learn what moving Speed Rack digitally is like. You know, in very honest conversations with our brand partners, everyone pretty much knows that it does not look like venues. You know, as I said, Becky Nadeau, our event coordinator, she is constantly talking to the venues, and she actually has a full-time job doing corporate events and things, so she's highly aware of what's going on. So nothing's looking like it'll possibly be booked until very much the earliest summer 2021, which coincides with kind of our 10-year anniversary. So we're hopeful that maybe by that time we might be able to execute the season 9 national finals, because we do feel that like the women who competed so far in season 9 really do deserve that chance. So that would be us figuring out in the next 6 months how to somehow run some sort of mid-Atlantic trial in some sort of a way to identify competitors from that region, so that they have a chance. But that's kind of where it goes for the competition. And like I said, we'll be talking a lot about how we're going to be, doing a roundtable that really is going to discuss a lot of like how competitions go, and just kind of getting everyone with global thought leaders together, because this is, it's obviously not just a Speed Rack problem. It's all competitions. How are we all shifting? How do we keep creating those opportunities for the bartenders? I think really look at what competitions and what these kind of programs have done for up and coming bartenders, and giving them opportunities, platforms. So that's the part that you don't want to stop giving, having those opportunities. So there's a bit of a like, Ivy and I executed a Cognac USA competition. So we were able to, work with the Cognac, the BNIC, to do a competition for bartenders. And, we're able to open it up where there were 10 cash prizes that were able to be given, that there was, 2 educational seminars that they could attend, and then there was social, and there was ways, and then we have a partnership with, a magazine with VinePair so that they can get exposure. So those are some of the things that competitions give, right? So they give money, they give exposure, they give opportunity to bartenders who are putting themselves out there. So that's kind of some of the thought process we're trying to think about. I guess, Ivy, you want to talk about the mentorship program that we're launching?
Yeah, so sure. So the mentorship program basically was kind of interesting, actually, is that as we film this, Tales the Cocktail's going on, right, on their digital platform, and they have a mentorship thing going on that I'm like, oh, great, like we're all kind of like thinking in the same line. So Lynette and myself and Gia Vecchio, who works for FOH Communication, she does our PR. We, the first, how many months has this been? The first 4 or 5 months of this was just like, who knows? And now we're finally in this process of, okay, now what? Now we gotta kind of keep on doing stuff. So we were like, there are lots of people right now who, because work is slow, unless you're Lynette, no. And I have my busyness as well, but like everything's in the extremes right now. But if you are a bartender and you're not working your normal shifts, like you have a little bit of time of self-reflection right now. And I know a lot of people that their self-reflection has led them to wow, it's been really nice not waking up at 2:00 in the afternoon, going to work at 6 p.m. and getting home at 4 a.m. I don't want to do that anymore. Or I want to change the way I'm working within this industry. Yeah. So we're setting up this mentor platform to try to connect people within this industry in different ways. So that might be like, I want to be a consultant. They would talk to someone like Lynette, right? Or I want to, partner with someone and open up my own bar. They might talk to someone like me. I want to write a book. They might talk to someone like me, or like, another, or like Julie Reiner, or something like this. So we have everyone from like PR, events, bar ownership, brand ambassadors, even like wine, and like blogs and writers and like all these different things. So people can be like, in my moment of self-reflection, I want to go and learn about what you do, So like someone like Anne Louise Marquis, for example, someone might talk to her and be like, wow, you've really done a good job of kind of branding yourself as this within an organization. How'd you do that?
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to seeing personally, like where people are going, because we're going to have bartenders in there too. Like, people who have won Speed Rack, people who have won like Diageo World Class, things like this, people who are available. And I'm really interested to see like the difference, right? Because people are starting to look at this industry a little bit different now. Like what other options are there out there? Because bartending 5 days a week, there's just literally not enough jobs to go around right now. So how else can we make money? How else can we learn in different aspects? So that's exciting. And then we're also in the next month, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And just because it's, COVID doesn't mean that people have to stop raising money for breast cancer. So we are doing a few different things, a few different virtual galas. We are partnering up with someone called Shaker and Spoon for these cocktail kits that you can buy online, featuring, again, Haley Traub, who won Speed Rack a few years ago with a kind of like a riff on a espresso martini, more or less, that she made for her grandmother, who's like a Speed Rack fame, double survivor, breast cancer lady. And just so really excited about that. And then, slowly but surely figuring out, like, when are we going to do the MidAtlantic? When can we figure out how to get those women that prepared to go in to do something, so we have a finalist group for season 9 that we can do at some point? And then just try to help each other up, like continue to be there. I still get emails and messages daily from people just like, what the hell? And like trying to help our community. And it's a weird time. It's certainly a weird time.
Yeah, definitely. And in terms of female bartenders over here in the UK, can they be involved in all of the things that you guys have got coming up as well? So like the mentorship schemes and any other of the initiatives that you guys have got running. Can the UK bartenders, it's sort of worldwide, a global sort of initiative for everyone?
We're actually setting up time to talk with our regional partners. So we actually have had to postpone our call with Mexico twice because of everyone's scheduling, but our team in Mexico is very much interested in us helping set up those programs that we're doing here, which also will then mean that we have multilingual, which is really important.
That's right.
And then we'll, our team in Australia is just so awesome. We'll talk to them, and then we'd love to set it up as well in the UK, because we have so many wonderful people. And so we're going to reach out to our international partners and personalities and people that we worked with, and see if they're able to also join that, so that we can make sure that it is a global Speed Rack family initiative, and have as many people as want to get involved, because that's the networking, the connection point.
Yeah.
I do think that that's the silver lining of this, of COVID. Lynette and I have always said, like, you're part of this global community now. Like, at every event we go to, like whether we're in Canada or, we haven't been to the UK for a while, but UK, or like, Boston, like, hey, lady from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, if you want to go hook up with this lady who competed from Vietnam, like, now you're part of this network. And while that's always been true, now we can really make that true.
Yeah.
Now we really can be like, okay, global connectivity happens on the internet. So let's just really like put our money where their mouth is and make this connection like that. So.
Yeah, and as we work on our, what our digital, speed summit looks like as well, and when we launch that, that will be accessible. I think, again, we're learning from all the things. We're going to see how, Global Bar Week, we'll hopefully learn some things from you as well about how the platforms work, pre-recording things or how things are live. And, that does take a bit of pressure off. I think, it seems so daunting, right? Because technology is insane. So like, how do you manage to like get all the pieces together? How do you, do them properly? How are they get the right exposure? I like the pre-record things in a lot of ways because it does help remove the barrier of time zones, because people can watch when they can, which is really, really good. I think it's actually going to make things like Global Bar Week more accessible than it ever was, which is great.
Yeah.
So as we do those things, we definitely want to make sure that our global teams are involved and, are able to, contribute content and all the things that, like check-ins with our global teams and what's going on. And so that's the, like Ivy said, that is the silver lining on all of this, is that, we don't have to feel so far away from those people, and we can, especially I feel like, Team Asia, it's such a hard time zone for them for everything a lot of times. So, we would be able to hopefully like shift and do things that they can watch on their time, and have, Viv and Holly do some welcomes and host and talk about things and do some chats. So that way there's always content that's going on in our regions that is applicable.
And do you think, sort of looking forward, there's been a lot of talk, especially here in the UK, around what we've just been discussing, this adoption of technology and making things more global and accessible and moving things online, all the new things that you guys have implemented because of COVID-19, the mentorship scheme and online summit and all the online things that you're doing, is that the sort of stuff that you're going to perhaps continue moving forward, even whenever we're allowed to sort of travel a bit more freely again?
I think so. I mean, yes and no. Part of the beauty of Speed Rack is the events themselves. Like the day we wake up and literally every city we go to, there's someone who's like volunteered for the last 8 years, and they're like, Merry Christmas, it's like Speed Rack Day. And there's something about having all those people together that's really magical. That being said, I think there is an opportunity, yes, to push this forward, the digital aspect of it all. But I really miss Speed Rack days. I gotta say, I really miss it. It's funny because when you do it all the time, it's like, oh, another Speed Rack. But then whenever I show up to a Speed Rack, I'm always like, oh, right, this is why we do this. This is awesome. But I miss it. I miss like being on an airplane, which is so weird, flying to some weird place with Lynette, knowing that we're gonna land and like maybe just be alone and have some champagne in some bar that no one's gonna find us, or go see our friend in some bar we really love. Like I really miss it. So whereas I like to say, yeah, we're gonna keep on the internet stuff, I'm like, go away, COVID, let me have my Speed Rack back. Like let me get my friends together. Yeah.
Well, fingers crossed it won't be too long until we can do that again. But I know you guys work so hard to keep the female bartending community together, and that's an amazing feat to accomplish in these very difficult times, not to mention the charitable work that you guys do while also opening and running bars as well. So thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to talk to me. And I know that a lot of the bartenders here in the UK will be really excited to be able to sort of interact with everything you guys have got going on online as well over the next few months. So thank you so much, and thank you to everyone for watching on Global Bar Week. And yeah, we'll see you guys soon, and hopefully in the UK in the not too distant future.
Soon, I hope. I need a pub.
So do I. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.